So how do we fix all the problems with government? Firstly, by taking personal responsibility for them. Secondly, by educating yourself about the problems. Many of these problems are complicated and require study. Thirdly, by expanding your sense of self, consciousness, and your capacity to love, which is something you do through personal development work, through consciousness work, through spiritual work. By purifying yourself of your devilry. That's how you stop being a devil. See, it's really simple. You want good politics? Stop being a devil. Be an example for others of how not to be a devil, and then they will also not want to be devils around you because they'll see your example. And so as you do all this, you become a better citizen and a better leader within your community. And then this creates an upward spiral where everyone starts doing the same thing. And then we have a beautiful society. And to the extent that we don't do this is to the extent that we have a evil society where it's selfish and vicious and oppressive and unfair and violent. And it's nasty to the point where nobody wants to live in such a society. You want to run away. And see, suddenly now you see why government is so screwed up, because nobody wants to do the hard work of actually expanding their sense of self and their capacity to love. This is hard to do. All the self-actualization stuff that you've been doing over the years while following me, you guys who've been doing it, and you girls, you know how difficult it is. See, it's filled with pain and suffering and, overcoming your own ego and, rude awakenings and ego backlashes, all of this. Most people aren't interested in any of that. Instead, what they're interested in is just ideological debates, because when they're engaging in ideological debates, this allows them to blame everybody else except themselves. Therefore, they never have to turn inwards. They never have to do any inner work. They don't have to grow. They don't have to change. They don't have to improve as a human being. They don't have to raise their capacity to love. They don't have to question their culture or their religion or their family. They can just comfortably fit in and execute a script. This is it. It's this simple. It really is this simple. But notice this is not talked about anywhere on television or in the political analysis. Nowhere is this talked about. As simple and as obvious as it is. Once you understand what I'm talking about here, it's going to be so obvious. You're going to be like, of course, this is the answer. Of course, this is the root problem of why government is so corrupt. See, one of the hallmarks of conscious people is that they take responsibility for everything. They don't blame, they don't deny, they don't project, they don't ignore, and they don't divide. They don't sweep problems under the rug. They take responsibility for them and they become proactive about it. Notice that all of low consciousness politics, often that you see on TV and YouTube, tries to blame somebody else. It really is this simple. You can identify what political ideology someone has simply by asking them who's responsible for all the problems in the world, and they will have a scapegoat for you. So who's being blamed? Either immigrants or minorities, women or feminists, terrorists or Muslims, globalists or Jews, reptilians, Russia, North Korea, Iran, various dictators around the world, or who are blamed are just the politicians, the president, Congress. Republicans or Democrats are blamed. The gays are blamed. Atheists are blamed. Theists are blamed. Religious nutcases are blamed. Communists and cultural Marxists are blamed. Corporations are blamed. The media is blamed. Racists are blamed. Who do you like to blame? If you're blaming somebody and you honestly believe that the world's problems would be resolved if we simply got rid of the racists or the gays or the communists or the Republicans or the Democrats or the globalists, you're kidding yourself. You're not operating from a place of high consciousness. Because if you were truly conscious, your sense of self would be so expanded that you would understand that all of this, all of these various groups and factions that are fighting for power and control, that are acting selfishly. And by the way, I'm not excusing any of these people from not contributing to the problem. They certainly, all of them contribute to the problem in their own respective ways. But, also to various degrees. So I'm not creating false equivalencies here. I'm not saying that gays are the same as racists. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that if you were conscious, your sense of self would be so expanded that you would realize that this is just the cards that humanity has been dealt. We are collectively evolving through some complex stuff, trying to survive on this rock, which is spinning around the sun at thousands of miles a minute. You see, in the larger scheme of things, that's what's happening here. And, building a society is a very difficult thing, and people have different agendas, and people are at different levels of development. And so you can't really blame anybody here. And so a conscious person would take responsibility for the devilry of his or her government. And that's exactly what's missing today in our political discussions. Nobody wants to take responsibility for the devilry that their government commits. Sure, everybody loves to blame government and the politicians for being corrupt and evil in all this. But the truth is, they're only as corrupt and evil as the people who elected them. And you are directly responsible for what they are doing. That's how democracy works.